Well, hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I've just been browsing the Wildlife Department's Game Warden Facebook page, and really it seems that social media has become an integral part of our everyday lives, and really it's because it's just so accessible. Whether you're sitting at your office desk or you're in a boat or a tree stand, you have social media available at your fingertips. And it was recently that our game wardens realized the potential that Facebook in particular had for their efforts as well. And I think our Chief of Law Enforcement Division, Bill Hale, is actually at his office down the hall. And I'm going to go see if I can catch up with him and visit more about the Game Warden's Facebook page. The Oklahoma Game Warden is easily the most widely recognized Wildlife Department employee. They make up the largest division in the department with over 100 wardens stationed throughout the state. However, the job does present its own challenges. A single warden may have hundreds of square miles he's responsible for, and the vast majority of the time, they work alone. Therefore, it's impossible for them to be everywhere and see everything at once. Many times, game wardens follow up on investigations based on tips they receive from the public, either directly or through the Operation Game Thief hotline. But with the adoption of social media a couple years ago, especially Facebook, that began to change for game wardens. Hi, Bill.
How you doing today, Todd?
I'm great. You know, I was just down in my office down there looking at the Game Warden's Facebook page this morning, and I'm always impressed with what great information is shared on that page. Did you all ever really think that it would be that successful that quick?
We thought it would be a neat deal. We never dreamed that it would have so many likes or have such a following. Everybody seems to just love to find out what we're doing each day or what's going on.
Well, it's one of the first things I do every morning. Hey, your game wardens use that page as a tool. So how did that actually come about?
At first, it was going to be used as a tool for us to get to the public what we normally do. You know, the everyday jobs of a game warden. As it evolved, there was some cases that came up that we didn't have any other leads to run down, so we put some of those on there. And now it's a tool that we use to get information to the public, but we also get information from the public. They see a case on there. If they have any information on it, they'll give us a call. Sometimes it's the one thing we needed to make the case.
Other states around us had already had successful Facebook pages where they were using it to promote themselves, helping them solve unsolved cases.
We had a case come up where 2 deer were shot and found without their heads.
The local wardens kind of run out of leads. They had some suspects, but nothing really concrete that would aid them in prosecuting the case.
Game wardens sent me the information, said, hey, can you get that out there, see if we can get any response? The response was overwhelming.
And within 2 weeks, that case was pretty much solved. We found the offenders, we located, we knew who they were through Facebook. Once this story was shared, it went viral.
Within a 2-week time frame, we had almost 600,000 views and over 1,000 shares. And 2 weeks from the day that we posted the post, it was solved, the case was solved. And that case would not have been made without the use of social media and the wide sharing that we received and the great outpouring of response.
When the post about the headless deer took off, we realized the sky was the limit on this page.
You know, Bill, how did the public react to that headless deer case?
There was a great response to that case. The number of views and comments were unbelievable. And that's one of the good things about it is I can go back on any of those posts and look at the comments. For instance, look at one of these recent posts. Here's one on an accident that some of the wardens assisted with in southeast Oklahoma. It's reached 135,000 people and it's had 626 shares. You can read down for 100 or 150 comments that they made on the subject.
Wow, that's awesome.
In the beginning, the public's response to our Game Warden Facebook page was overwhelming. We took off like gangbusters and literally had thousands upon thousands of likes in the first month, and it's just kept going from there.
Another post specifically last August, doveweed is one that I posted about a case where some dove hunters started season early and were hunting out of marijuana blinds. I mean, that post had almost 500,000 likes and follows, and you know, posts like that is what makes us realize, you know, there's a lot more people watching what we do and that care about what we do, and that's what I think makes this page special.
We've even had people that we catch, hey, are we going to be on the Facebook page? Well, we can arrange that.
You know, Bill, I've noticed that your page has also gained the attention of a lot of news reporters around the state.
Yep, they watch the page pretty frequently, and they'll call us when they're interested in any of the stories that they see on there in different posts. In fact, Lacey Lowry with News 9 here in Oklahoma City has done several stories.
The page is so important for a reporter like me because it's immediate and it lets us jump on a story as it's happening, rather than a lot of times with game wardens in the past, I didn't hear about certain stories for weeks and then there wasn't a picture to go along with the story. So now we get to see what they're doing in the field in the moment and jump on a story when it actually has some traction already online and bring it onto Channel 9 to show our viewers on television. So it you get to jump on it at the right time and expand that audience.
We have always benefited from the public giving us information, but normally it was via word of mouth or a phone call or the first time that they saw us, which may not be for a while because there's so few of us. But now we have instant access to the public. If we need help, if they need our help, they can message us. We can send out a post and get that response very quickly. And that is such a great tool for us in these days.
This page also lets us gauge the interest on a certain story. If people are already liking it, sharing it, commenting about it, sharing their own stories in the comment section, then that shows us the 27,000 people that like that page. We'll expand that times 5 or 6, and that's your TV audience, and you'll get even more interest. So if interest is already being shown on the page for a certain story or a certain post, then we know it's going to have traction on Channel 9 as well.
My favorite posts are the ones that show the hard work and dedication of our wardens across the state of Oklahoma when they are out there, they're away from their families, they're doing their job just like they always do, and they score a good victory for the wildlife and the sportsmen of Oklahoma.
So Bill, what are some other types of posts that the wardens use the page for besides just the posts about busting someone?
Any kind of post you could imagine. We have posts on there where we interact with sportsmen in the field. We have posts where we help stranded motorists or motorists that have had accidents. We have posts at public schools or at different groups where we're doing educational programs. Anything that the guys that work on the Facebook page would think it would help us to get out to the public, to let us know what we do, that's the kind of post we're looking for.
Anything that the public likes, I like myself. And you look for that special picture or special situation, whether it be a little kid with his first big fish or, you know, an illegal dumping case that looks horrible. You know, we want the people to know what's going on out there, and that is the whole point of this page. It's not just to make cases, it's not just to get information out. We want people to know what we do.
I think it's great, and it kind of goes along with the way our society is today, which is show me now, tell me now. And that's what these posts on the Game Warden's page are so beneficial with, is here's a picture of a poached animal or poachers that we just caught, and here's all the information that goes along with it. So I think it's fabulous, and it's immediate, which is what people want.
My favorite kind of post is anything to do with the youth and the outdoors, because that's our future. Getting the kids out there, showing the public that we are a true public servant and helping the kids, whether it be fishing clinics, whether it be shotgun training education programs, whether it just be something to do within our community. We are truly public servants, and we're here to serve the public. And to me, the kids are where it's at. You know, they're the future of wildlife conservation, and that's what I like posting about. Seeing those posts, seeing the reactions of kids, and and the families and everything is just superb to me.
Fishing, hunting, wildlife, the outdoors, that's so much a part of Oklahoma's culture. And that's literally what game wardens are dealing with every single day, day in, day out. Yes, they do the poaching thing, and a lot of us think that's the only thing that they do, but there's about so much more than that. Whether it's hunter education courses, or fishing with children events, or hey, look at this, we found this baby owl on the side of the road and we've rescued it. You name the story, and it just piques our curiosity because it's already about things that we love, and it's behind the scenes on a job that many of us may have had some misconceptions about or thought it was only limited to busting bad guys. And the fact of the matter is they do more on the positive side and community outreach and engaging with young hunters, young fisher, young outdoorsmen. So there's so much more to game wardens, and this page has really opened our eyes to that.
I would like to thank all of our followers for everything you've done to support us and show us that wildlife conservation and wildlife management is important to you. And we want to continue to thank you and share our message, share our page, share all our posts, help us out because you have done a fabulous job so far. Thank you.
Viewers always seem to love stories that we do, either with the Department of Wildlife or specifically with game wardens on stories that we found from their page, because it also gives them a platform to share their own stories. There's a lot of outdoor stories here in Oklahoma, and whether it was, you know, I thought I noticed a fish kill on some ponds on my property, or, you know what, we rescued 7 baby fawns the other day and we can't figure out what the deal is. It just provides a platform that people love to engage in, especially Oklahomans who are outdoorsmen by nature, it seems. So it's always been positive as far as the feedback on these stories, and kind of gives some people who may have no idea about the outdoors or hunting, fishing, whatever's not their thing, and it gives them a snapshot of, wow, they're doing some really cool things with the game wardens, and especially if I go check out that page, I can learn about them on a daily basis.
If you're not following our page right now, you definitely should.
Well, Bill, I know you've got to be really pleased with how successful this game warden Facebook page has become.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I would have never dreamed it would have turned into this. The guys do such a good job developing the post and scanning the state for more material, and the other wardens getting material to them. Said I couldn't be more happy with how it's done.
I would encourage everyone to go, if you're on Facebook, to go on to Facebook.com/Oklahoma Game Warden and follow our page, and you won't be disappointed.
Well, I hope that you will get involved with the Game Warden's Facebook page. Now we're going to revisit a piece that we shot in 2004 with Glenn Gephardt on pond fisheries management. With so much to know about farm ponds, it can be hard to understand exactly what it takes to keep one productive. So I caught up with Glenn Gephardt, who is arguably the state's expert on farm pond management. Glenn is the co-author of Managing Pond Fisheries in Oklahoma. He put his knowledge to practice on his own pond and shows me firsthand how enjoyable a well-managed fishery can be.
Bluegill put that body sideways and put up a nice fight.
Oh yeah, look at that, how fat that is.
Yeah, these guys are nice and fat.
Oh wow. Now Glenn, tell me, in your opinion, what is probably the best way to start stocking an existing pond?
Well, I know it sounds bad, but in most cases, the very best thing you can do with an existing pond is to kill all the fish out right off the bat. A lot of people think that sounds severe, but in most cases, you don't have exactly what you want to have in an existing pond. I went with fish species that will eat fish food. And by doing that, the limiting factor always in a pond is the amount of food available. And so you can bump that limiting factor way up by stocking fish that'll eat fish food.
Okay.
And
so you'd buy those at a commercial hatchery then?
You either buy those at a commercial hatchery, or you work with someone like myself that can set up the cross yourself in the pond. You can buy these hybrid bluegill. If you've got a new pond, it's a perfect chance to set them up yourself at very little cost and produce, like I say, 10, 20,000 right off the bat. In future years, you're probably going to have to buy, or in my case, I've got 2 smaller ponds, one of which drains right into this pond, and I can set those up and then let them go for a couple of years and grow my own 3 to 4 inch hybrids and then stock them in here.
So you've become your own hatchery.
Yes, I've got my own hatchery, and that's the ideal way. When I look for an ideal pond, I look for a main pond and then a little small satellite pond, as I like to call it, where you can grow your fish. This is my satellite pond where I grow hybrid bluegill up to a size where they won't get immediately eaten in my main pond. So I grow them for 2 years and then move them into my main pond when they're 3-4 inches long. The other important thing to have on a pond is a spillway screen to keep fish from moving out of your pond when you don't want them to, especially if it's your primary pond. Something that will hold in most of the fish of any size. As it down low, I've got a 1/4 inch, and then up high I've got a 5/8 inch screen, and this keeps the fish from moving out when I don't want them to. I've also got a screen on my main pond so that all of my big fish can't leave during a big runoff event. This is often an overlooked item, and it's very important to have, or you will lose a lot of fish, especially things like hybrid bluegill, over your spillway during high water. We've got 2 different kinds of fish feed that I feed. This is a standard 36% protein floating catfish feed that's got about 10% fish meal, and everything will eat that, but I like to get my hybrid stripers to eat the higher protein, 40% with about 20% fish meal in it, because them being fish eaters, they do much better on it. I'll go ahead and feed some of this 36% first, and we'll get the hybrid bluegill up here. This is what makes the whole pond possible, is the amount of fish feed that I pour in here. I'll put in about 1,000–1,500 pounds of fish feed a year. That is the limiting factor, is the amount of food available, so I've bumped that limiting factor way up, and therefore I've bumped the production of the pond way up, and that's what allows me to harvest 500 pounds a year out of a 1 acre pond, is the amount of fish feed I've got going in.
Oh yeah, look at that, boiling up. Now Glenn, you talked about your situation. Look at that fish, wow. Your situation's a little bit unique here because of the fact that you can produce your own fish in 2 smaller ponds. But for somebody that's starting out with a pre-existing pond, and they kill off the fish population and want to start off with the right balance and the right mixture of species, where can they, what are their options for getting fish? We have a department program that provides fish, but
right, and that actually is a very good option. And I would say for 90% of the people or so out there, that's the best option. Okay. Because a lot of people may think it looks great, to catch fish like crazy, but unless they're willing to, keep a feeding program going, it won't necessarily stay excellent year after year after year. And so the advantage to going with the department is, number 1, you get free fish. Sure. And number 2, you get a balanced setup that typically you'd have to do a little management on the bass harvest, but other than that, you don't do any management by just going with their 100 bass fingered. Usually they start with about 500 straight bluegill and stock those in, and then they come back in the next year with about 100 bass fingerlings per acre and about 100 channel catfish, and that creates a good fishing environment that, as long as the bass aren't over harvested, stays good for years and years to come.
Now, is that something that a person's going to have to do periodically, or is it just a one-time and then you're done, you don't ever have to do it again?
Well, it's typically a one-time stocking thing, although you do have to pay attention, like I said, to your bass harvest, because if you over-harvest the bass, then the bluegill produce too many offspring and get stunted. And that used to be the problem as people fished and kept fish a lot. Now, sometimes what we see is just the opposite problem, where people are being aware of not over-harvesting their bass, but in so doing, they don't harvest any, and you can actually see stunted bass, especially at that 8 to 12 inch size where they need to switch from an insect diet to a fish diet. So you actually do have to harvest some of your bass and take them out if you want to keep a healthy growing bass population and get some lunker bass in there.
So it's just a myth and a wives' tale. If you want big bass, practice complete catch and release.
In a pond environment where
Sure.
you've got limited food, again, you can think of the pond, food is the limiting resource. And so you go with your available food, and where you're going with the bass bluegill situation, your available food is pretty well fixed.
In the little time I spent with Glenn, I rediscovered how fun fishing a pond can be, and how sound management can truly have a noticeable impact on even a small pond. The first step is to decide what your priorities are, and then form a plan to match. Glenn wants to be able to catch lots of fish to eat, but some folks would rather manage for trophy fish. Well, whatever your priority, remember to have fun and include your friends. Well, Glenn, I want to thank you for letting us have a tremendous day on your pond. This has just been something I won't forget for quite a while.
Well, you're more than welcome, Todd.
Woo! Look at that. Oh,
We'll
my
see
goodness.
If
Look
we can
at
get
that.
this guy coming this way, and I'll give him
You
the
want me
quick. I'll give him the quick two-handed land if I can get him
Do you
to.
want me to hold the rod and...
I'll just.
Golly, look
There.
at that.
Is a big channel catfish.
On cut bait hybrid bluegill we just caught an hour ago.
Yep, exactly.
That's incredible.
Well, that's what a pond can do with a little bit of management
Well, sure.
and a little bit of fish feed.
I would think from what I've seen today, if you wrote the book, it's good information.
Well, thanks very much, Todd.
Thanks to Glenn. We'll see you next time, somewhere new in outdoor Oklahoma. For additional information on today's show, or to purchase your own copy of Managing Pond Fisheries in Oklahoma, log on to wildlifedepartment.com. What if Oh man. Well, way over
like-
me, it's probably going to roughly be 13.5.
Right, almost 14.
He almost bottoms that out.
Almost.
Wow.
Looks like right there he's still. Looks like
13.5 somewhere.
13.5.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. For all of us at your Wildlife Department, I'm Todd Craighead, and we'll see you right here next time on Outdoor Oklahoma.